So we're just checking out Michael's new 690R, which the Yankro kit, Raid Garage tank under there, two-piece tanks, very nicely set up. So we'll see how she goes. Neil's got his 690 out. Yeah, how's it going everyone? So we caught up at Neil's place and then jumped on the track behind his house just for a quick little warm-up. I was just hanging back seeing how Michael's new 690 was handling the section. I like to take a little bit of an alternative line where I can when I'm riding behind someone, just for practice of you know, where it would be possible maybe to sneak past them if you're that way inclined, and you're not going to be able to do that if you ride directly behind someone. So I'm always looking for a little bit of a line off to the side, also slightly less dust. So I was bopping along here and I'd pulled my goggles out, which I've got under my visor, which is up for this section, just to see how that all works with my helmet, just because I got new goggles. And about this part of it, I realized where I was going through these bumps that something wasn't quite right, but hadn't quite figured out what was going on yet. And then I did a little bit of a shortcut here with a little bit of local knowledge to take this little side track to get in front of Michael, and through this rough bit realized that stuff was hitting me in the junk area, and realized that my tank bag was open and my camera and some other stuff had made a bid for freedom. So pulled up and checked that all out.
couple of rocks out.
How'd
Right
you
under the
fit
wheel.
through that little gap with the coming through that creek?
A couple of rocks flicked through. Got sideways.
These might be a little bit big.
Ah, no, it was alright, just had rocks under the wheels.
Yeah, so these tracks in here are just a bush area that have some main kind of trails through there. Nothing that shows up on my GPS, but these are the side tracks that go in and link it up. We'd actually come down a steeper section that was, reasonably hard, but it really didn't look that hard on camera. Like, with everyone being on the same plane, it basically makes everything look flat. So, yeah, just a chance to go out and have a little bit of an afternoon skid. We only got together at lunchtime and went out for, 2.5 hours and had a look around. This area is all pretty hard packed. Some of it's clay. Doesn't have a lot of traction when it's dry or when it's wet. So there's a couple of little sandy sections and bits and pieces. It's actually quite rutted up, and a lot of this is off camber. So yeah, I tend to not necessarily always take the exactly easiest line, and have a little bit of a go at writing some alternative lines, just for variety. And the 790 handles it quite well. You can, if you're up on the pegs, you can weight the peg and push the tyres into the track. I got reasonably new tyres on Motor's Adventure Tractionator Rail Z on the rear, and the Pirelli on the front. They're both in pretty good nick, so I haven't aired them down particularly. They're both around 24 psi. If I was doing more of this stuff and not the road sections and fast sections in between, I'd probably go down another 4 or 5 psi to around 20 and get a little bit better traction. But there's also a few rocks in this section and a couple of faster bits, so I didn't want to air it down too much. But yeah, just good to see Michael's 690 that he bought for doing the desert crossing and stuff with the I think he's got 32 litres of fuel all up on that, with the raid tank as a reserve up where the airbox used to be, and 2 side tanks along with the rear factory tank. So that was put on hold this year by the zombie apocalypse, so that'll be next year's mission, to go do a desert crossing. But yeah, it's just nice to have this area which we can get to within 5 or 10 minutes of Neil's place, and go for a bit of a ride. It's got a little bit of variety, a few sandy sections, a couple of sort of like sandstone rocky sections, and there's tracks in here that crisscross all over. You see them going off to the side and around, and this one was just around a tree that had been there for a while, which Michael attempted and didn't quite get over. But yeah, just good to get out and have a bit of a play, and we just go off and explore different side tracks and have a bit of a look around and see where they go. And sometimes they go places and sometimes they don't. But that's about it for this one. Just a little bit of a video of a side track, and then the video of the main track in and out, which, like pretty much everywhere else, is slowly getting built up, and the housing developments are starting to encroach on the ends of where this track is. It's public access up into these ones, and they would have been gazetted roads and tracks and stuff at some stage, but yeah, they're slowly getting built out, so they'll only be around for a while. So while they're close and they're not built up, we can go for a ride. When when the restrictions end, we've got a couple of other rides planned. We've got one coming up in September where we'll probably go west and then north up to Mount Isa and probably crank out a day on the main roads and dirt highways to get out into the general outbacky, the start of the outback kind of area. But then do as much dirt as we can, but cover some territory and have a look around out there. They're sort of saying that September is when everything's going to open up, so hopefully everyone who wants to come for it can cross state lines and stuff for that. So that'll be the next big one. We'll probably do an overnighter, either 1 or 2 night overnighter up to Carnarvon or somewhere as a first trip getting going once accommodation and everything's open, because with pubs only being able to have 20 people in them, some of them are still not open yet for accommodation and food. So as soon as that's all go again, we'll crank some out. Cheers.
And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to see some more of these videos. There's a couple more coming up and a few more bits and pieces. So yeah, stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Cheers.